Hello. So I think it's about time I create another video about the simulation for evolution. Many months ago, I created an evolution simulator using a genetic algorithm para yung random letters na i-input ko sa computer maging haiku. So it's just a simple way, very simple way to give you a visual aid in understanding evolution. Kasi for me, it's for me na hindi biologist or hindi scientist, it's really hard for me to understand evolution, no? Given na I was brought up to believe in the creation story na yes, we were created by a god, and then the animals are created as is, and yun na we understand, yun yung pananaw natin sa mundo, 'di ba? As we grow up, ang bear is a bear all the time, a human is a human all the time, a shrimp is a shrimp its whole lifetime. Hindi na ito umundergo ng isang evolutionary process. So yun yung understanding ko. And to be honest, when I created this channel, I was really hesitant to talk about evolution. I told myself na hey, when I create contents, I will make sure na I will slide away or I will not make a topic about evolution. And my reason dati was it's too divisive. Evolution is too divisive. Even for me na ako atheist dati is not really that convinced with evolution. So, kasi hindi ko siya maintindihan eh. So, yung ginawa ko is, ang nangyari is, I created a lot of videos already. And that's mainly because I slowly understood it. And it's with the help of simulations like these, the one that I'm showing to you right now, which I'm going to demo later, is it napaliwanagan niya ako through visually, kasi it makes more sense when you see it when you see the source code So this simulation, however, is a exponentially better compared to the one that I created. Ang before kasi is yung random text na magiging haiku at the end through the evolution. The idea of it is that hindi siya prinogram. Hindi prinogram yung letters para maging haiku. We are just giving conditions similar to the natural selection or the evolution process para mag-convert yung letters into something like a haiku. So, I'm sorry if I'm not making any sense when I said that, but when I say na hindi siya prinogram, ang typical kasi na development process, me as a web developer, as a programmer, we manually create kasi the algorithms para mag-behave ang application in a way. Let me give you an example. Login system, 'di ba? If ito yung thought process ko as a developer, if the email exists in the database, if let's say an authentication system, login system. So if you input me an email and a password, here's my programming process, here's my algorithm. Hey, did you submit an email? Okay. If not, then I'm gonna throw an error, invalid email or password. Yun. That's a simple process. Hey, meron kang email? Okay. Does this email exist in the database? Yes. Okay. No. I'm still gonna throw an error, same as before, invalid email password. It's for security purposes. I don't want to reveal that your email exists in the database or not. So I'm just gonna throw out a vague error message that will say invalid email or password combination. Next, okay, may email ka. Do you have a password? Oy, missing ang password. Invalid email. Diba? You see what I mean? It's a manual process on my side. I'm going to think about different scenarios to handle different kinds. I'm going to think about different solutions to different kinds of scenarios. Kaya may mga bugs. May mga bugs sa system kasi hindi siya naisip ng maayos ng developer. Hindi siya na-architect ng developer. When I say na hindi prinogram ang evolutionary process, I'm not technically correct kasi prinogram siya nandun siya sa system What I mean is, yung mga ways for a letter to become a haiku, yung mga random letters, hindi siya in-if statement ko. Wala akong condition na think na, if it's letter A, and then ang katabi niya is letter B, then I'm going to switch. No, you can't imagine how many if statements that would be, and I can't think of a way for those random letters to evolve into something that is coherent, like a sentence or a song or a poem. I will link to that video in the description. I'm talking about the evolution simulator na ginawa ko many years ago. I'm going to link that in the description. It's in Bisaya pero meron naman akong subtitles. So, yes, I can't do that manually using code. I can't think of ways how I can switch the letters, combinations of letters, given a condition to turn it into something. No. And why I'm saying na I'm wrong, kasi meron namang code. And here's the code for the evolution. There is a code, and I'm going to say na the conditions. So you don't have to think I don't have to think about how to make a thing evolve into something. I'm just going to give you conditions that will make things evolve. So ito yung condition for evolution, no? There needs to be variation. So that's one thing. There needs to be variation. So in the scientific sense, variation means there must be variation within a population, which arises from genetic mutations and other sources of genetic variation. This variation provides the raw materials upon which natural selection can act. I don't understand a thing about it scientifically, but how I visualize it is we all have like an ID daw. We have like an ID system within us. We are in a population, let's say Philippines, of humans, population of humans, and then we all have unique IDs. You can imagine we have unique na thumbprints, diba? So in a way, in our meta, we have like a unique ID within us. That's the DNA, and we are unique from each other, even though we are all similar. So our DNAs are collectively similar, but there are variations. You can imagine an ID, no? I have an ID of ABCD123, and the other person has ACBD231. That's the thing. Just think about variation that we all have unique IDs for now. Visualize that in your head para maintindihan nyo tong evolution simulator. Number 2 is we have inheritance. Scientifically daw, ito yung traits that can confer a reproductive advantage must be heritable so that they can be passed on to future generations. This allows beneficial traits to become more common within a population over time. So, I don't know what that means as well, but I can visualize that meron daw dapat condition na yung thing na yon or species na yon that has a unique ID has the ability to pass it around in a form of reproduction. A copy-paste kumbaga. So, number 2. The number 3 is a selection process. Dito papasok yung evolution by natural selection ni Darwin. Number 3 is the selection. Sabi dito, the environment must exert selective pressures on the population that can such that certain traits confer a reproductive advantage over others. For example, individuals with faster running speeds may be more likely to escape predators and survive to reproduce. So, this is typically yung misconception dito is survival of the fittest na translate into something na yung mga tao na nandito ngayon or yung mga animals na nandito ngayon are the strongest. No, it doesn't mean na you are the strongest, you are alpha, you are smartest, or you're physically strong. It doesn't mean like that. Kasi kung strongest ang pag-uusapan, dinosaurs were really huge and really big, and they were the strongest among the other animals. How come they all died out? So fittest means in this number 3 is fittest is you are fit within your environment, whether it's a micro environment or a macro level na environment. You fit in that environment, meaning if I am the alpha, I think I'm the alpha here in this earth. If I live in the snow, I will die kasi hindi ako fit to live in a very extreme environment, unlike the polar bears. That's what fittest means. So in this context, selection means that there needs to be a way na yung mga letters, back ako ha, so yung letters, yung ID natin that are unique, that can be inherited, that can be passed, that can be copy pasted. There needs to be a way na madaday out yung other population that are not fit with the environment. And that's the cruel thing that I think Darwin noticed, no, na yes, you can copy paste, yes, you have unique IDs within you, but the nature will need to select sino yung capable to reproduce, kasi there are a lot of environmental hazards, di ba? There are predators that will stop you from reproducing. Naka-reproduce ka nga, kinain naman yung itlog yung itlog mo. Predators, environmental hazards like typhoons, earthquakes, and so on, and sandstorms. You need to also survive. You need to be very skillful as well in finding a mate. Kasi okay, you can be the strongest animal, you can be the smartest, you have survived all environmental hazards, but you need to also be skillful enough to find a mate para yung mate mo is makapag-sex mo and then mag-reproduce kayo. And then another thing is you need to also survive the other hazards like injuries and sickness. Kasi we have other species that are here to enter our bodies and thrive as well. So we need to fight them off as well, like viruses and bacteria. So, and fungi. So every day everyone wants to kill you, and that's selection. That's the whole world. That's our environment judging us. Choosing sino yung mag-fit to survive. Kasi eto lang din naman yung, I can summarize evolution in this way eh. Evolution is just ganito eh, whoever reproduce, magre-reproduce. Kung nakapag-reproduce ka, makapag-reproduce yung nireproduce mo. If hindi ka nakapag-reproduce, wala ka na. Nawala ka na sa pool, sa population. So, it's like that, no, na sa millions of population of ants, kung sino lang yung nakapag-reproduce, yung copies nila ang magta-thrive and versions nila ang mag-propagate through time. Yung hindi, wala na. Number 4 is differential reproductive success. Yun yung individuals with traits that confer a reproductive advantage must be successful at reproducing and passing on their genes to the next generation. This leads to the gradual spread of beneficial traits within the population. So beneficial traits within the population. So yung mga versions, yung mga species ng animals na nakapag-reproduce, it means they were fit. They were able to reproduce, and then those mga anak nila were able to reproduce as well because they were more fit, until such a thing na yung variations is parang magiging parang in a way nagiging similar na sila sa each other. Wala nang masyadong variation kasi nagfit na yung species na yon. For example, yung mga butterflies na kasing kulay nila yung branch ng tree. Kasi nga, doon sila dumidikit and thousands, millions of years, yung butterfly na same yung kulay niya sa branch ng tree is yun yung ang nag-fit. Yung other na kulay na yellow, wala na. Hindi na nakapag-reproduce. Kasi nakapag-reproduce siya kasi he perfectly camouflaged the tree and the predators weren't able to see them. And they might be able to survive other hazards as well. 'Di ba? So the ugly thing about that is when you cut all the trees na similar ang kulay sa butterfly, they won't survive kasi iba na yung kulay ng tree. Let's say green and then brown sila lahat. So they won't be able to survive kasi a lot of predators will be able to see them. So yeah, it's an advantage. Evolution is an advantage. Also, one final thing I need to discuss this. It's time. Sa conditions for evolution to happen, there needs to be a time. Kasi kung walang time, there isn't a time to evolve. So it needs a lot of time for variations to happen, for evolution to happen. Now, what I have here, what you're seeing here in my screen is a simulator that I ran. I was running when I was talking. No, I'm going to close this kasi nasa generation 880 na tayo. So, what I did is I ran a simulation from David Miller na ginawa ni David Miller na evolution simulator. Yung evolution simulator niya is just pixels. He is trying to evolve those pixels. It's not evolving pixel into an art, no. It's evolving a pixel to decide where to go. So, ganito ha. Yung simulator has a 128 by 128 na 2D world. And then yung mga species niya or yung mga species, let's just is the pixels that will live on that grid, no? So, on initialization, there will be 3,000 pixels that will live in that 128 by 128 na grid, no? And then in their lifetime, that will move 300 steps, sabi dito. So those pixels can move up, left, right, and down like a king in the chessboard, no? They can only move steps. One step, left, right, down, and up. So, within their lifespan, those pixels can move 300 steps. It's randomized. Initially, it's randomized kasi yun yung programming nila eh. It's the condition of step 1. Meron silang variation. They move because they were given a genetic a gene that represents how they move. So, you can imagine na yung gene nila is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ABCD 1, 2, 3, and then those code, the ID of that code represents certain moves. So it could be left, right, down, up. So those are randomized per pixel in that 3,000 population in that world have genes that moves randomly, and they have 300 steps in their whole lifespan. They need to move every second in 300 steps. Okay. So, we are now, meron na sa 5 conditions of evolution to happen, meron na tayong variation kasi they vary. Populations vary, they move differently. And then, now, the next thing is they will reproduce. At the end of their steps, on the 300 steps, they will die. All of them will die. But, there are a few of them that will be able to reproduce first before they die. So, again, sa 3,000 population, they will all die on the 300 step, but there are a few of them that will be able to reproduce two copies of itself. So, that's like the inheritance na trait. So, we have now an algorithm that can copy the mother. And then copy the trait of the mother. So, paano ba? What is the selection process? Pasok tayo sa selection. Number 3. The selection process is we can choose these selection process here. I am picking selection process number 1, right half. So, this means na sinimplify ko, hindi naman kaya ng computer to simulate a predator That's really hard to code, no? It's hard to code weathers as well. Like the weather that we have, literally like the weather that we have. It's hard to simulate that. It's also hard to simulate sickness, injury, the process of finding a mate para makapag-reproduce. But if you can summarize it, you can think of it as challenges for a thing to reproduce. Those are just challenges for things to reproduce. So if you can summarize that, we can just simply say na yung challenge for a thing to evolve is just saying na hey, the right half of the map is safe and things can reproduce there. The left half, sorry, you can't reproduce and you will just simply die. So that's our condition. We are now on the selection. We now have the third condition. We have the variation, the ID, the randomness of the species. Number 2 is the way for them to reproduce. Number 3 is our challenge, which is we are saying that the left half, they will all die. They need to move to the right. We can see the species kasi it's like we're saying, hey, move to the right, but they don't know that because they are in that simulation. So that's the condition, that's the selection process. And number 4 is the differential reproductive success. This is mutation, and I think I will demonstrate that later. Kasi in this demo, nakaset up na dito yung mutations to happen. So I think the setup is in every 10,000 population, merong isang pixel that has mutated. So I will explain mutation later, but I will continue with this one na lang para hindi kayo ma-overwhelm. So this, in a way, ito yung differential reproductive success a way to reproduce, pero yung na-reproduce niya is mag-mutate, merong slight. So for example, ABCD 1, 2, 3 na gene mo, merong isang number doon na mag-twist into something that's random. So instead na ABCD 1, 2, 3, BBCD 1, 2, 3. So you're still a copy of your mother or your father, but you as an offspring has a slight mutation, and that mutation could be beneficial for the gene pool or hindi. It could be a cancer na nagka-cancer ka and then mamamatay ka, or it could be non-beneficial, nag-evolve ka into something that's not fit, meaning nag-evolve yung pixel na yon to move to the left, and we know that left isn't safe, right, for these species. So that's number 4. We have that as well embedded in our condition, in this environment, na merong way to mutate. Number 5 is time. Of course, simulations can be it's time, no? It's running through time. We are in generation 875, and we know na evolution takes time. And that's why it's advantageous to use this in a computer kasi we can see them, and generations will only take seconds while in real life, while in nature it will take thousands of years. We can like speed the time up in a simulation. So enough of me rambling about it, and I'm sorry for taking too long. I just need to explain. But here's the result of the simulation now. So generation 0, this is what it looks like. Let me just pause. Let me just run this to see. So these are the first generations. This is generation 0 of this world. There are pixels moving around, and there are pixels that are not moving on the right, not moving on the left, not moving at the top. Let's do that again. So they're just randomly moving. There's no direct pattern that wala tayong nakikitang pattern dito, randomness talaga, random. So at the end of the simulation, at the end mark, lahat ng nasa right side will be able to reproduce. Whatever their genetic compounds are, they will be able to reproduce. On the left side, they will die out for whatever fucking reason. There could be a species dito that always moves to the right, but at the end of his its lifespan, hindi siya nakaabot sa boundary and namatay siya. It could be the best species, kasi nag-move siya to the right. That's what we want. We need these animals, these pixels to move to the right. But that's just how nature works. It's a message, that's how nature works, It's really cruel. So, you can see that there are things that are moving. So hindi klaro, we don't know what will happen next. So this is generation 2. This is yung mga anak. There's still no pattern that things are moving to the right, that are moving to a safe zone. There's still no pattern. That's mainly because, again, as I said, na evolution takes more time. Hindi ito overnight. Hindi ito a generational na in the next generation mag-i-evolve na yung mga species. No. Of course, they are evolving. It's evolved. Ito na to yung mga nag-evolve na mga species. But hindi siya visually na walang visual na confirmation na yan nag-evolve na sila. Kasi why are you saying nag-evolve sila dyan? Parang kamukha lang sila ng parents nila. Walang but technically they evolved, no? But hindi nga sa evolution na what we're thinking of, na nag-move na sila lahat to the right. There are changes, but we don't see them yet. It's not glaring yet. Hindi klaro, hindi pa klaro. So, generation 2, let's see. I don't think, but there are randomness, but I'm seeing stuff. Like, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Visually, I'm seeing stuff now na parang nagmo-move to the right. Like this orange here. So, there are things that are, individual things are moving to the right, no? But I'm still seeing a lot of things na nagra-randomly move about. So, the reason is, it could be na etong mga genetic compounds na mga pixels or mga thing, it could be na napanganak, it just so happens na napanganak sila sa right half and they're not moving, then swerte sila, napanganak sila, and then on the next na generation napanganak sila sa same na spot on the right, so they're not moving still. And then on the third generation, napanganak na naman sila on this spot. So swerte sila kasi although they're not moving to the right, it just so happens na when they spawned, nandun na sila sa safe spot. So they could have evolved, hindi sila fit for us, no? Tayo na nakikita yung population, we don't see that they are fit kasi they're not moving. But again, time will just tell, kasi on the next siguro spawn, hindi sila nagmo-move, and it so happens na nandun na sila sa left. They have 50-50 kasi. So if they happen to spawn on the left, obviously they won't move, so they will die out. So those things that are not moving will eventually die out. 50%. Kasi ito yung condition natin, 50-50. Now, on the generation 25, let's see. Now, you can see things are really clear, no? Na things are really moving to the right now. It's so weird that merong nagmo-move up and down, but you can see things are moving to the right now. Generation 25, the great grandsons are moving to the right now. This means na yung mga copies ng mga parents that tends to move to the right are the ones na nakapag-reproduce. Generation 50. It's a lot clearer now. There's no more randomness. There are still things that are jittering, no? Na eto, nag-jitter siya. Eto, hindi talaga nagmo-move. So, like what I said, on 50, like you can imagine, on 50, eto, hindi nag-move. Nag-move pala sila. May isa talaga na hindi nag-move, nag-move up lang. So, this black thing, could have existed on the right side for 50 generations. So, on the 50th generation, nandun na siya sa left. Sorry, hindi ka na makapag-reproduce and you will die. Your genetic na tawag doon? Sorry, hindi talaga ako Magaling sa words. But you can imagine, no, na things are moving to the right now without me having to give them logic to do so. It's just the evolution ng mga conditions that made them evolve into moving themselves to the right kasi yun yung condition. Generation number 75. It's very glaring now. A lot of things are still jittering, but you can see, no, even though they're slow, they're still jittering to the right. And there are things that are jittering randomly still. So you can think na on generation 75, they're very swerte na nandun. It so happens na napanganak sila on the right plane. Okay. This is generation 100. Things are really moving to the right now. Wala nang masyadong nasa left. There are things that are jittering now. Generation 125. Oh my God. So they have learned na talaga to move to the right. A few are still jittering. 150. Okay, only a handful left on the no. Even the top, even yung mga nasa top are moving to the right as well. Okay. Generation 175. Generation 200. Things are really moving to the right now. This guy here is jittering to the right. Kapasok pa siya, oh. I think makakasurvive to si Green. Generation 225. Yeah, a lot of them are slow, no? Na nasa left. Pero they were able to get into the right half of the map. There's this one, it's like it's a bouncing ping pong ball. Look at this one. There's this brown here. Nagbabounce lang siya. Ito, purple. Parang nagpiping pong lang siya. What the heck? How was that able to get to generation 225? But he was able to. That's why may mga variations nga. 250. It looks like it's more of a red now, no? The population is turning a lot more red and pink. So parang kumukonti. If we go back to generation 0, it's a lot. Walang parang green pa nga yung majority. I'm seeing a lot of greens, maybe because of my siguro my eyes, but I don't know what you're seeing here. But that's what I'm looking at. It's an even spread of colors. But when you go to 250, it's more red now. There are still greens now, but I'm seeing a lot more reds and pinks. Let's go to generation 300. And then there are a lot of greens now. Whoa, this is really cool. Suddenly there are a lot of greens. And a lot more greens. So greens are the fittest. So siguro nag-increase ang population ng greens. Generation 350. Okay, let's go to generation 500. This is so cool to watch, no? They don't have any kind of programming in them that will, hey, go to the left if there's a someone that's blocking your way, go to the left. No, it's impossible to code that, especially individual pixels. You can't do that individually. How this works is that meron silang ID in them. Those ID represents movements up, left, right, down. And then they also can reproduce, and that is why yung version ng up, left, right, down na combinations will propagate through time. Magka-copy paste kasi yung ID eh. And yung version ng ID that tends to move to the right are being copy and pasted over and over again kasi those are the genetic the genes that survived or that is fit in this environment. So it's green. So This is really cool. So everything is moving to the to the right. Let's go to generation 700. There's still a handful, no? And you're wondering why? How come merong brown dito? If you can explain, that would be really great. But is it really possible na on the 700th generation, etong brown na to was all the time nag-exist, right? And it so happens na dito lang siya nalagay. That's mind-boggling to me, no? Na 700 times siyang swerte. 700 times siyang ipinanganak sa isang side ng map na allows him to reproduce. Generation 800, we're on the final na It's mostly green now. Wala itong brown, no? Nagsastruggle. I think he will. Yeah, I think so. It's really cool. Really cool to look at. This is generation 825. Finally, yung time na kinat ko siya is on the generation 875. You can run this simulation like in hours, no? To see na yung mga variations dito ay magiging parang identical na. It's all green na. Or it's all brown. But this is the final one. But do know na pwede mo siyang i-extend in how many times of generation. And there are a lot of challenges here. Let me just show you. So I'm just showing you one challenge, no? You can even do challenges like radioactive walls. I don't know what this is. Let's try this out, no? Okay, maybe 150 is enough. Let me pause this video. Let me pause this simulation now. So, okay. Let me delete this last one. I think this is from the last simulation. So, generation 0. Maybe I made a mistake now kasi they tend to move to the right. I don't understand. May bug ba sa system? It shouldn't be like this na. It should be spread out. It's like parang may mana destroy dito sa right. Wait. They tend to move to the right. What the heck? I'm not sure. Baka ganito yung nature ng... Hindi ko kasi na-explore ito lahat eh. Baka ito yung nature ng radioactive walls. Mamamatay sila when they get near a wall. This is so interesting. I haven't explored this actually. So, it could be na since radioactive yung walls, mamamatay sila. I'm not really sure. Like what I'm seeing now. Is this a radioactive wall thing? I'm not sure. So, generation 150. This is so cool. And it's so cruel at the same time, no, acting as a god. So, yun. I hope useful itong tool na to visually learn about natural selection. I am an atheist, and even as an atheist before, I am scared to talk about evolution kasi hindi ko talaga alam paano siya, how it works. And once I got into the fundamentals, once I unlearned the things that I thought were about evolution, hindi pala, slowly nagme-make sense na siya sa akin na hey, hindi pala siya linear na progression na yung si Squirtle magiging tawag doon, hindi ako familiar eh. Si Pikachu magiging Raichu, hindi siya ganun. It's because of hindi siya linear na paano ba? Until now, I'm still struggling to explain. Hindi siya linear na from monkey to humans. It's a branch-like. It's branch-like na there's like a point in our history na siya ang parents ng apes, variations of apes. Siya ang, we don't know where that point is because it's hard to point that in our evolution kasi wala tayong mga concrete na records. We just have what they call this prediction, no, na since ganito ang patterns ng nakikita nating fossils, they predicted that there could be like an ape at some point in our history na siya ang mother and father of apes na nag-variate. Merong chimpanzee, merong Homo habilis, mga other kinds of species na we dig through the fossils na meron pala tayong mga in a way mga same na mga it's Homo sapiens like. I'm not expert in the names of those you can look it up, but yun yung na-discover natin na hindi sila humans. Their bones, their skeletons, they're not humans, but they're human-like. And we've named them, and they were thought to be our cousins. And they were thought to, we then, predicted na there could be like a mother and father figure, and then siya yung nag-speciate. Yung mga anak niya is nag-live through life. May nag-live doon sa part ng world na icy, sa part ng world na very hot, sa tropical, and then they kinda evolved because of their surroundings, because of their environment, because of the different kinds of predators living in that environment. Kaya na-shape sila into different things. Nag-variate. Merong chimpanzee nga, merong gorilla nga. And there are Homo sapiens somewhere out there in Africa. So, this is the evolution simulator. If you enjoyed this, please share this to the students na are learning evolution. Share this to teachers as well that are teaching evolution but is having a hard time passing that knowledge to the student kasi nga hindi siya visual learning, and it's a way for them to understand through this kind of simulation. And then if ever gusto mo ma-install ito sa computer mo but you're not technically savvy, just let me know in the comments kasi I will create another video, maybe a tutorial video on how to install this one, or I'll probably post a live video so that I can talk to you directly on how to install it. I can guide you. I can do that. So that's it. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and see you in the next video.